Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamunatiravanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Subhadramai Jayo Sudarshana Jayo Gauraniga 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 Jayo Gauraniga Prabhupada Prabhupada Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadadi Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatade Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namah Badanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namah Namo Brahmanaya Devaya Go Brahmanaya Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Hare Krishna. Okay. So we'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. So this is from first canto, chapter 5, text 13. Just repeat after me. Okay, let me read once, then you can repeat after. Or you can repeat. Okay. Ato Mahabhaga Bhavan Amogadre Suchishravah Satyarato Dridhavritaha Urukramasyaikila Bandha Muktaye Samadhinanushramat Tat Vichestitam. Translation. O Vyasadeva, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. You are firm in vow and situated in truthfulness. And thus you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in general from all material bondage. So can you like to read the sloka and then would like to repeat the sloka? Recite the sloka. Ato Mahabhaga Bhavan Amogadre Suchishrava Satyarato Vritavritaha Urukramaishi Kila Bandha Mukatyaye Samadhulina Smara तद्विचेष्टितम् अतो महाभागा भावान् अमोघदृक् शुचिश्रवसत्या रतो धृताव्रतः उरुक्रमस्य किल बन्धमुक्तये समाधीनानुस्मर तद्विचेष्टितम् अतो महाभागा भवान् अमोघदृक् शुचिश्रवसत्यरतो धृताव्रतः दुर्क्रमस्य किल बन्धमुक्तये समाधीनानुस्मर तद्विचेष्टितम्. Reading from the purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. People in general have a taste for literature by instinct. They want to hear and read from authorities something about the unknown, but their taste is exploited by unfortunate literatures, which are full of subject matter for satisfaction of material senses. Such literatures contain different kinds of mundane poems and philosophical speculations, more or less under the influence of Maya, ending in sense gratification. These literatures, although worthless in the true sense of the term, are variously decorated to attract the attention of less intelligent men. Thus, the attracted living entities are more and more entangled in material bondage without hope of liberation for thousands and thousands of generations. Sri Narada Rishi, being the best among the Vaishnavas, is compassionate towards such unfortunate victims of worthless literatures. And thus he advises Sri Vyasadeva to compose the transcendental literature, which is not only attractive, but can also actually bring liberation from all kinds of bondage. Srila Vyasadeva or his representatives are qualified because they are rightly trained to see things in true perspective. Srila Vyasadeva and his representatives are pure in thought due to their spiritual enlightenment, fixed in their vows due to their devotion service, and determined to deliver the fallen souls rotting in these material activities. The fallen souls are very eager to receive novel informations every day. And the transcendentalists like Vyasadeva or Narada can supply such eager people in general with unlimited news from the spiritual world. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the material world is only a part of the whole creation and that this earth is only a fragment of the whole material world. There are thousands and thousands of literary men all over the world. And they have created many, many thousands of literary work for the information of the people in general for thousands and thousands of years. Unfortunately, none of them have brought peace and tranquility on the earth. This is due to a spiritual vacuum in these literatures. Therefore, the Vedic literatures, especially Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, are specifically recommended to suffering humanity to bring about the desired effect of liberation from the pangs of material civilization, which is eating the vital part of the human energy. The Bhagavad Gita is the spoken message of the Lord Himself, recorded by Vyasadeva. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is the transcendental narration of the activities of the same Lord Krishna, which alone can satisfy the hankering desires of the living being for eternal peace and liberation from miseries. Srimad Bhagavatam, therefore, is meant for all living beings all over the universe for total liberation from all kinds of material bondage. Such transcendental narrations of the pastimes of the Lord can be described only by liberated souls like Vyasadeva and his bona fide representatives who are completely merged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Only to such devotees do the pastimes of the Lord and their transcendental nature become automatically manifest by dint of devotional service. No one else can either know or describe the acts of the Lord, even if they speculate on the subject matter for many, many years. The descriptions of Bhagavatam are so precise and accurate that whatever has been predicted in this great literature about 5,000 years ago is now exactly happening. Therefore, the vision of the author comprehends the past, the present, and the future. Such liberated persons as Vasudeva are perfect not only in the power of vision and wisdom, but also in oral reception, in thinking, feeling, and all other sense activities. A liberated person possesses perfect senses, and with perfect senses, only can one serve the sense proprietor, Rishikesha. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam, therefore, is the perfect description of all perfect personality of Godhead by the all perfect personality Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Vedas. Hare Krishna. I think Prabhupada has completed this lecture. What a wonderful explanation about the importance of a book like Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita. What it can do to mankind. It's very beautifully narrated here. The narration is so wonderful that we should all think, if this book is so wonderful, should I be a self-centered person to just have the book for myself and read for myself? Or if I really care for this world, care for other living entities, which is the original mission of the Lord? Should I give this book to others, this literature to others? That is the biggest question that gets answered. And why we should give books to others. Someday in our life, there was one devotee or one person. Because of his causeless mercy, we came to Krishna consciousness. Correct? And are we all benefiting from Krishna consciousness? Are we enjoying our devotional life? So if we really care for this one aspect and dimension, then should we not care for our near and dear, to our kinsmen, to the people that we know, to all the children of this world, that this literature should also reach them and get them into the same bliss and happiness that we've tasted in our life. Is it not fair expectation? And that's exactly what our Acharya is trying to tell us. What's your opportunity to do book distribution? Today, India's population is about 140 crores. What's the world's population today? Any guess? Huh? 1,500 crores. Okay, we have a guess like that. How many books have we distributed so far? Hardly a fraction. So what's the opportunity that's left? Huge. So if the opportunity is huge, and our great book distribution Acharya, Vaisheshika Prabhu, wrote a very beautiful book. My family business is book distribution. So if my family book is book distribution, and if I see a market which has got such a humongous opportunity, should I not become greedy to expand my business, to reach the untapped population of this world and give them this transcendental literature? So that is the opportunity we have to see. If you don't see that opportunity, then what is happening? Like what Krishna told to Arjuna, hey, you're a Kripana. What's the meaning of, you said, why did Krishna say you're a Kripana? Because you have all the resources, but still you are thinking with narrow-mindedness. So similarly, we have all the knowledge, all the facilities, a great marketplace and opportunity, but we are hesitating to do. Hence, our dear grandfather, Srila Prabhupada, will be thinking, oh, my grandchildren are also Kripanas. So do you want to be called as Kripanas? No. Should use all our resources to give this wonderful literature just for the benefit of others. And that is caring for people. Really caring and love for people is what? I am for the welfare of others. That's the real meaning for caring for people. If I care only for myself, then what do we need to do? We have to do only chanting japa. Yeah, good. We will progress in devotional service. Read this literature. Keep it within our heart. Yes, we will progress in devotional service. But what about others? A society in general is the real success of a person living in the society. Let's say what is teamwork. So let's say you're part of a team of 20 members, 30 members. You are a very skilled person. You're very knowledgeable. You're very successful. But have you really made a difference? No, mine is 0358. Okay, sorry. 10? What car is it? Okay, so there is a car which is having a number plate 1037. Is there anyone who's got that car? Number plate 1037? No. Okay. So it looks like there's blocking and some excavation work needs to go. So in case you see someone with that car owner, please inform me. Okay, thank you. So let's resume back with our transcendental nectar. So what do you want to hear today? So do you want to hear pastimes about devotees with book distribution? Or do you want to hear about realizations about book distribution? Or do you want to hear about what Prabhupada really wanted with book distribution? All three? Haribol. Okay. Okay. So I was just thinking, how do we really get energized? The best part of today's realization that I have is, I have a meeting at 4 o'clock today, my circle meeting, where we're going to inspire all the leaders and talk about strategies for book distribution. So I was thinking, what strategies we should have. Okay, yeah, for Bhadra Purnima, we did a reasonably good job by the mercy of the Vaishnavas and Guru. So we are thinking, how do we do Bhagavad Gita this time? And thankfully, our Shankarshan Priya Prabhu gave this opportunity. Prabhu, you inspire others on book distribution. I said, hey, my job is done. My 4 o'clock meeting is already taken care of. I can straight away go into the execution. Okay. So I was reading through Srimad Bhagavatam to understand, where does book distribution start? So Prabhupada quotes that book distribution means someone attaining samadhi state. He says, do you know what is samadhi? Someone who's completely involved himself. They say, Atma Nivedanam, something like that. His consciousness is only meditating on that one single subject, the lotus feet of Krishna. That is state of samadhi. Here, Prabhupada says someone doing book distribution is also in state of samadhi. So how? I've taken some quotes from some Prabhupada. So I'll read. So today's class, I'm going to read a lot of quotes and a lot of letters. So we'll mix both so that we can understand. He says, the book distribution is called transcendental samadhi. They are working in trance, not on material platform. Who? The distributors, the book distributors. Their consciousness is so wonderful, they somehow want Krishna to be reached to the other soul. So he gets up in the morning, a devotee, he finishes his sitting rounds, and just like someone makes business plans, he's making distribution plans. So from morning till night, he's on first part of it is planning. Okay, and then he collects all these books, goes to the place. Now he sees a personality. Every living entity is a different personality by itself. You can make out by his appearance, by his talks, by his activities. So every time he is approaching a person, he is meditating on two important pointers. The first point, what sort of a person he is, how do I give Krishna to him? How do I give this literature to him? The second, he is also making his plan. Somehow, by the mercy of Prabhupada, I should be able to successfully sell this book. Look at this selfless service and is meditating on giving this distribution of this knowledge to that person. So the whole day, this book distributor, after his chanting rounds, till night, evening, when he comes back home, he's only meditating on this subject. So Prabhupada calls him, what state is he in? Samadhi. This is the characteristic of a person in Samadhi, right? He's always thinking, how do I please my Lord? How do I serve other Vaishnavas? Exactly what the book distributor is saying. So while I was reading through this Samadhi, what does he do? He is like saying, all the people in this world are completely immersed in Maya. Maya is holding on to them. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago. She's saying, come sleep on my lap, don't wake up. But what are these book distributors are going? Actually, they're going and waking up. Get up, don't sleep on the lap of Maya. Take this book and come out of this difficulty. So, Prabhupada is giving this example. He's saying, book distributors are like army personnel, right? You know, soldiers, army personnel. So, when you go to war, okay, so the soldiers will have to face the heat of the opponents. And there are something like bunkers, right? So, these bunkers are like generally underground. There'll be small holes on the surface. You just quickly get into it so that you can dodge the opponent's bullets or bombs or whatever. So the soldiers are dodging. Once he sees there is opportunity, again gets up, fights, right? And in turn, what does the government do? The highest civilian award is given to a military personnel. For example, you saw Bipin Rawat, what sort of award he was given, respect he was given. So similarly, Prabhupada says, all my book distributors are so dear to Krishna, they get the highest recognition from Krishna for distributing book. Every book that we distribute, we attract the mercy of the Lord. 1 point, 5 points, 10 points of mercy that attract of the Lord. Then what the Lord says, hey, you need 100 points to come back to Godhead, but I see your bank account, your point bank account is overflowing with points. I don't know what else to do with it. So that's how Krishna is thinking with the book distributors. So hence Prabhupada uses the word that the book distributors are always in Samadhi, where they have received the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one should engage in practical activity of the Lord, devotional activity of the Lord. And one of the topmost of those activities is distribute books. Distribute this nectarian lecture of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita to others. Okay. So I'll read from this 10th canto, what Prabhupada is commenting about this word Samadhi, just to understand how book distribution gives you that kind of a consciousness. He says, the word kriyashu means manual labor or by work is important in this verse. One should engage in practical service to the Lord. In our Krishna conscious movement, all our activities are concentrated upon distributing Krishna's literature. This is very important. One may approach any person, induce him to read Krishna literature, so that in the future, he may also become a devotee. Who can become a devotee? The person who is receiving the book. Such activities are recommended in this verse. Kriyashu yasva charanar vindayam. Such activities will always remain the devotees of Lord's lotus feet. By fully concentrating on distribution books for Krishna, one is fully absorbed in Krishna, and hence he is in the state of Samadhi. He is in complete trance. He is no more influenced by the three modes of material nature, but is already in the state of transcendence. That's what Prabhupada is trying to say. So do you all want to be in state of transcendence? So what do we need to do? Just selflessly distribute these books. Okay. So we'll see more. What did Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur say? See, book distribution is also called Sankirtan. So why it's called Sankirtan? So what does Sankirtan do? Sankirtan helps us to transmit this holy name, which purifies the hearts of all living entities across everywhere. So the Sankirtan party who will go on the streets to sing the holy name, they're just giving the holy name. Somehow they want to pierce the ears and touch their consciousness by this holy name. That's Sankirtan. So what does book distribution do? Book distribution also gives Krishna's literature to others, and hence book distribution also is called Sankirtan. Okay. So now, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, in Sankirtana, what do we use? We use Mridanga, right? We use Mridanga and Kartala and then play the Mridanga and produce some loud noise. So by producing the loud noise, what happens? It attracts attention of others. Hey, what is that sound that's coming? Some music parties. They want to go, they hear the holy name, some purification has happened. But he said, book distribution is like Brihad Mridanga. Use the word Brihad Mridanga. What does Brihad means? Brihad means something big, larger in size, full size. So imagine Mridanga is larger in size, it can produce more sound. So he says the impact of book distribution is much more powerful than Sankirtana, because in Sankirtana, what happens? Let's say you go on a street, you sing the holy name, Mridanga, Kartala, all those instruments are being used. Yes, you grab the attention, and people have heard the holy name. But in book distribution, what happens? This book goes and stays in the life of that person. It keeps knocking at him. Today, tomorrow, one day he's going to open that book and he's going to read. The day he's going to touch that book and read, he's going to become a devotee of the Lord. So the impact of book distribution, or why he's using the word Brihad Mridanga, because it can produce a much louder impact on one's life. Hence, he is giving higher weightage in one's life of devotion to do book distribution than doing any other devotional services. So, of course, does not mean we go away from our sadhana. So, sadhana has to be maintained, but book distribution is very important and it should be distributed at all times in our lives. So, he said that anyone who distributes the books, right? He quoted this in Madhya Leela, that they receive the mercy of Rupa Goswami, and hence they all become Rupanagas, right? So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying, if I have a rupee to be spared, the first thing that I will do is to print books and distribute them. He says that is the most impactful way of giving Krishna to others. Okay, so I will read some Prabhupada letter about what he talked about book distribution. He says, we have very good news. What is this very good news? Prithvite acheyato nagaradi grama sharvata prachara hoive nama mora. So what does this mean? He said, Krishna, when he spoke the Gita about 5,000 years back. But he spoke the Gita only to Arjuna. Even though he spoke the Gita only to Arjuna, but this message is for the whole world, the entire human race. So then we can be wondering, 5,000 years back he spoke, how does it mean to me today, where time has passed so much? So the message is coming to us only time separated. So how is time separated? We hear some past times to understand how time separated. So time separated means like a time bomb, right? So what do? I keep a bomb, but I give a timer. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 4 hours. It's going to blast, but it's going to blast later, right? So the effect is same. The purpose is accomplished same. So what Krishna set the time bomb at that point in time, it's going to blast at every time interval to give this Manushya Dharma, the literature of Krishna consciousness to all the living entities of the world. So hence, Prabhupada uses this sloka to quote how it is very powerful. So there's a letter he writes to some of the German disciples. He says, go on spreading the Sankirtana movement more and more. I'm only one person, but because all of you have kindly cooperated with me, this movement has now become a success all over the world. Be assured that there is no more direct way to preach than to distribute Krishna conscious books. Whoever gets a book is benefited. If he reads the book, he is benefited still more. Or if he gives the book to someone else for reading, both he and the other person are benefited. Even if one does not read the book, no problem, but simply holds it, sees it, he is benefited. If he simply gives a small donation towards the work of Krishna conscious, like a Shastradan he's referring to, he says he is also benefited. And anyone who distributes this transcendental literature is also benefited. So, directly, indirectly, somehow we come in contact with this Bhagavad Gita book and make others also to come in contact with this book. He says there is benefit for all. So, very, very beautifully it's written this letter. So, today morning I was listening to my Guru Maharaj lecture. And in that lecture, His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu also had come. And so the first, of course, the lecture was long, so I'll just give you a very short summary. Very inspiring lecture. So the first part of the section is one disciple is reading. So-and-so has given 50 books, 20 books, 30 books. So for every person, Guru Maharaj is saying Haribol. If someone crosses 50 books of donation, Shastradan, his Haribol will go on for a longer time with a louder voice. Haribol! So, I was just wondering, his enthusiasm is never stopping and is focused on to giving Krishna to others at all time. Is not even fading by a minuscule of it. So that's how it was. Then he made another statement. He said, Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita on Ekadasi, Moksha Ekadasi, which is coming on Tuesday, right? Yeah, Tuesday. He said, Ekadasi is so beneficial for devotion. And on this Ekadasi, when you give this book, he said his devotion multiplies so many times that he can't even imagine how much mercy he is receiving from Lord Nityam. So he said, make maximum advantage on this Moksha Ekadasi, to distribute books. Then the third point was talking about this international team, which is called as the Global Sankirtan team, which distribute books. So last year target was 2 million books, 20 lakh books. So this year they have taken target of 2.2 million, 22 lakh books, and they're pretty close to it. So then, Vaisheshika Prabhu is asking, Maharaj, please bless us so that we reach this target of 2.2 million books. Guru Maharaj immediately, made a huge loud noise and chanted the Hare Krishna mantra. And you know what he said? Is there any country we don't have devotees to distribute these books? Do you know Vaisheshika Prabhu's answer? Maharaj, we are ready to reach Antarctica. Do you have anyone to reach Antarctica? We'll distribute books there also. See, look, that was a consciousness, and I was like really thrilled to hear that. We don't want to leave even 1 square inch of space on this planet Earth where this literature of Krishna has not reached. That is the consciousness, right? So this global Sankirtan team is working towards it. So we should be part of it. And Guru Maharaj especially mentioned to him that I will speak to the South India and ensure that they are part of your global team so that we can reach your numbers of 2.2 million books this year. Right? So big Haribol to the South Indian devotees. Haribol. Okay. So I have another beautiful letter that I want to read. There is no comparison. Now it's telling comparison between any other literature and Bhagavad Gita as a literature. There's no literature throughout the universe like Srimad Bhagavata. There's no comparison. There's no competition. Every word is for the good of the human society. Every word in the book. Every word, each and every word. Therefore, we stress so much in the book distribution. Some or the other, if the book goes in one hand, he'll be benefited. At least he will see, oh, they have taken so much price. Let me see what is there. Price means here, Prabhupada is always insisting, do not give the books free. Always distribute the books at its price. It's a very, very important consciousness that we need to understand. See, if someone gives you a gift, right, you may not give much importance. You may just keep it and say, let's see later on. So what about it? But on the other hand, if you go to the market and then bought something by paying some money for it, you will make plans to use it or at least to see some details about it. So that's how our consciousness works. So Prabhupada is also saying the same thing. He said, your first priority is to sell the books at its price, distribute them. Of course, there could be a situation that someone is not able to afford it, or there's a need that you give it freely. Yes, under that condition is good. Otherwise, you should do. So, in a recent video, Vaisheshika Prabhu's video, very beautiful. There's a devotee on the streets, and then he's trying to sell the book. He's telling him this book is like so much price. This I don't know, I can't afford that. Sorry. So he's resisting, he's hesitating. So then what does he do? Okay, how much do you have? He says, I have $1. Give me the $1. So he takes that $1, then he gives that book to him. And then tells him, he gives another smaller book of Srila Prabhupada and say, this is for you, and distribute this to someone else that you think they will read this book, right? So you see, he is ensuring that at every point in time, some book of Srila Prabhupada is reaching someone. He does not want to give a scope where someone has not received the book of Srila Prabhupada, right? So he uses a lot of these such strategies. Prabhupada says, our Krishna book sold means we go forward one step in Krishna consciousness. We get closer to Krishna one step. Every book that we sell, we get one step closer to Krishna. These books and magazines are our most important propaganda weapons to defeat the ignorance of Maya's family. The more we produce such literature and sell them profusely all over the world, the more we shall deliver the world from suicide courses. So our work is the most important preaching work. And Krishna bless all of us more and more. So Prabhupada in his lectures or in his, every time he connects with the devotee, he talks about the importance of book distribution. And he brings in all these many, many, many angles, how people should take advantage of this. So there is a story that I want to narrate here. This is by His Holiness Prabodhanand Maharaj. So he is fond of book distribution. He does this on a very regular basis. So there is a bus called Sankirtan bus, right? So you must have heard of Sankirtan bus, right? So in Sankirtan bus, you can also cook on one side. The other side, they load all these books. Okay? And devotees get onto the bus and they travel. They travel to various places and then they stop, they halt there, do some Sankirtan program and then distribute books. They do all these things. Generally, when you travel cross states, things like that, you have to carry your permit papers and all these things. So in one case, the team forgot to carry the bus papers with them. I mean, they forgot, they didn't know. And suddenly they were stopped by the RTO department. They asked for the papers. They said, no, sorry, we missed bringing the papers, we didn't get it, and we are sorry. And they said, nothing doing. You have to pay so much money. If you don't pay so much money, then you have to pay the price for it by leaving the bus. Of course, devotees, they don't have money. So they said, no, we don't have money to pay you. They said, okay, park the bus to the side. And he took the keys away. So unless things are solved, nothing doing. So the RT officer, he went. The devotees are very happy. Why they're very happy? Whatever state of condition they're put into, they take the maximum advantage of that and be in a state of bliss. Right? That is the position of devotee. I said, no problem. Why? Because the bus has enough food preparation. You can make nice prasad in it. Eat. There is a pump around near the field, and then take bath in the pump, and then do kirtan, then chant, and then do bhajana, and then they just be happy. Who can bother? No problem, no worry. So they stayed the whole night like that. The Maharaj was also sitting inside the bus, and then they slept in the night. And the next day morning, one of the devotee, he goes to the police station or the RT office to somehow convince him to release the. Can I get some water? If you don't mind? Thank you, bro. So when he was just about to enter the RTO office, this RTO person, he's switching on the fan, and once he switches on the fan starts to rotate, and suddenly it got released from the ceiling for whatever reason. It starts to fall. Just falls down straight flat on his table, just in front of him. Right? It was like a shocker for him. Oh God! A few, inches here and there, I would have been killed. Then, there's one police guy with him. He's a little bit sattvic in nature. He says, "Sir, you've disturbed those devotees. See what is happening to you. You better be aware of them. Please go and close this matter with them." So then, it starts to throb his heart. Okay, maybe I made this mistake. So this RT officer does not even hesitate for a minute. He walks out of his office, takes his vehicle and go to the bus. And then he's looking there, and the devotees are all happy. He's saying, "Oh, I thought you put it to difficulty, but you're all very happy there." So then he says, "Okay, what are you up to?" Then he understands the entire Sankirtan program, that they're going around distributing the literature and things like that. So Maharaj goes and gives him this book to him. He sees his book. "Oh, this book is very nice." And then what does happen? The RT officer purchases that book. And what does he do? He also pays, thank you so much. He also pays an extra amount and then buys another 10 books so that he can distribute to his friends. And that's the glory of the Sankirtan party. So like this, these stories. Thank you. So these stories are really, really wonderful. They inspire us that we can also do this. We can take our temple van, take our cars, put a nice sticker behind our car and say book distribution, things like that, and then go do it. There's another story that I want to narrate about this. This is about a girl who's about 20, 25 years old. This happened in the California region. So this girl is very fired up and she wants to do book distribution a lot. So her seniors mentored her that you can go to hotels and keep these books there. So then they're trying to search for hotels who can get these books. And then they spot one hotel and then they go approach that hotel. Before going it, she is very smart. She does all the study. So what she does, she just goes and checks how many rooms are there in the hotel so that she can carry so many books. So she calculates about 200 rooms are there. So she immediately orders 200 books of Bhagavad Gita and then some language options also. And then she loads everything into the car and then goes to the hotel. So in the hotel, she's trying to approach the manager and then please him, doing all these, Bhagavad Gita literature talk. He's like very tough with her. Nothing doing. You don't disturb. Don't come here. You're all, you keep coming with some religious, fancy, and then trying to sell us all these things. No, please go. He chases her out, even though she's trying her level best. You know what this girl does? She remembers Srila Prabhupada's pastime. You know the pastime that Prabhupada wanted to go to America. He's waiting in front of Maharaj's office, and she is not yielding ticket for him. Why? "Oh, Swamiji, you're very old. How can you go to America? I don't want to take the risk." So she's not yielding. So she's silent. So what Prabhupada did? Just stood there and kept on chanting the whole day. Chanting, chanting, and chanting. That means what is he doing? He's taking shelter of God. He's taking shelter of the Lord. So the more he takes shelter of the Lord, what happened? The heart of Sumati Maharaj, she changed. She said, okay, Swamiji, I will do whatever you want. And she changed her heart. So similarly, this girl remembers this pastime. What she does, she goes outside the hotel and then sits below the tree and she's chanting like for about 2 hours, 3 hours, she's chanting. Right? Somehow, some miracle should happen, but nothing happened. So after 3 hours, she said, okay, maybe I will come the next day. So she takes the car and goes back home. In the meantime, what happened? There's one guy who checks into the hotel. He checks into the hotel and then when this conversation happened, what happened? Okay, I will leave one free copy for your hotel. So she just leaves a free copy on the desk, the front reception desk. You can use it you want, so no one cared, and then just has the book. So this guy, an youngster who enters the hotel, he checks in, he pays the advance and all these things. Then he wanted a magazine. He just saw there was a book and he thought this was a magazine. He took that magazine and then went into his room. Actually, this person came to commit suicide in the hotel. Right? He came with a rope, he came with certain medicines so that to seduce his mind, all these things. He got the whole thing prepared. He tied the knot on his neck, and while he was seeing, he saw this book. Then somehow he felt maybe I will, try this little later. He took the book and he read. His consciousness completely changed. Oh, there's no point in committing suicide. Why should I commit suicide? I have a life to live. I have so many things to do, and this book has enlightened me. So what he does, he abandons the entire suicide program. Even he runs to the reception, then he calls the manager and say, I saw this as your hotel copy. I want a copy for myself. Can you help me buy this book? Oh, so this guy is very curious. What did you find so attractive in this book? He said, no. This is what I came and it changed my life. I didn't want to now commit suicide. I want to live my life. So that's the statement he made, and the manager was completely psyched by this. What he did, he immediately called that girl because that girl had left the card behind the book. Her card was pasted behind the book, so that you can contact me again. He took the card, called her, saying that, "Oh, madam, we have a very important news for you. Can please come to the hotel?" She said, "Oh, my Gaurita has answered my prayers. Haribol!" She came rushing to the hotel and with all the books, and he said, "Okay, this is what happened. You saved a life." And then she sold 10 books to that boy who was about to commit suicide. And this manager said, "Actually, you know what? I have a proposal that I want to keep one book in each of my rooms." She said immediately, "Yes, I have 250 books." And he was like wondering, how do you know it's 250? No, I was well prepared that I know how many rooms you have. So you see, devotees are also very smart. Okay, it's not just blind approach. Let's say you're running your own business. You would make calculations in multi dimensions. You'll think this, you'll think that way, so many ways, and then you go prepared. So similarly, she was very prepared, and she was successful in giving her, selling her books to the manager, and became rich. So that's what happened in her life, right? So, like this, there are too many transcendental stories. I have another story to tell you. So, you've seen devotees, they do book distribution in trains, in bus stations, and also in airport. Actually, in Prabhupada times, the airport people used to travel around and then distribute books a lot. But now airport has got a lot of security restrictions. Otherwise, those days it was not there, so it was very easy to distribute books. So once, a devotee was waiting to distribute a book, and then he was looking for an opportunity. There was one businessman, he came out and he was so opulent to look at. This devotee writes, hey, probably he was wearing $100 coat on him. Very, very beautiful coat. And he was looking to have an expensive items in his hand and things like that. Of course, he was the only one who was walking there. Okay? Then, what this devotee does? He goes to this person and says, oh, sir, I think you're very privileged and I want to talk to you for just 1 minute. So, you're straight away flabbergasting him. He feels, oh, I'm the privileged. I'm the lot who picked from all the people in this airport. I am the one. Okay, so he's getting that feeling with him. He says, yes, sir. Then he said, yes, what do you want? He said, see, this is a very, very special book. It'll give you inner peace. So immediately, the devotee is changing his stance. He's talking about inner peace. He's talking about success in your endeavors. He's saying success in your life. He's using such words. Then this man is so pleased with it. Okay, how much does this book cost? Right? And he said, so this cost 200 rupees. And for him, 200 rupees is too less because he's a big shot. He said, 200 rupees? Okay, I'll buy one book, but I'll give you more money. You can use it for your distribution expenditure. He said, oh, please give, sir. And he writes a check for 10,000 rupees to this devotee. And he's in full jubilation. Oh, I came to sell one book, but this person bought like 50 books. So you see, there are lots of opportunities in how do we do book distribution, right? It is just that we have to plan ourselves, seek the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. If you feel that you're getting defeated, you should take the process of surrender more to Krishna, right? How we saw in the example of this girl, how we saw an example of changing of position by this person towards a businessman. So it's very important to adapt to various situations, and I'm sure we will all do excellent ways of doing book distribution. So what is the power of book distribution? We talked about book distribution is a great time bomb, right? See, I'll give you an example. This is a true life example. This happened in the Chowpatty temple. So I will narrate this incident that happened. So there was one Prabhu who was successful in selling a book to a student. He is like a first year college student or someone like that. He was successful in giving that book to him. But that person somehow bought out of reluctance. Why? Hey, this devotee looks very sattvic, very simple. Anyway, for good cause, okay, no problem. So he pays that money and then he buys the book. But he doesn't even open that outer plastic, cover also, right? He takes it and then leaves the book in his house, in his study table, in the bookshelf. And then time goes on. One friend of his, this is after several months, he visits his house. And then he is waiting for him to get dressed and come out. So he is sitting in his study table and then he's watching this book. Hey, this book looks very interesting. Then he's asking his friend, hey, can I borrow this book for some days so that I can just read it and I can return it back to you? Anyway, I'm not reading it, so you can just take it. How does it matter? Right? So he allowed him to take the book. He took the book and went back home. He read the book. He opened the cover, he read the book, he got fully attracted. He said, wow, this is amazing. I never knew this is the real goal of life. I never knew these are the real facts of my life. So what does he do? He immediately searches for the address. He couldn't find any. He goes, searches in Yellow Pages, and he finds the address of the Chowpatty temple. He calls them, and then they say, yes, we have prasad, we have this, you can come over. He goes there, he hears the Sankirtan, Katha, and all these things. He surrenders. He immediately leaves home and joins the temple as a brahmachari. That is the impact that happened. Okay, look at the beauty of this now. Time passed. He is now sitting at home and chanting his rounds, doing Sankirtan at home, peacefully, silently. No one knows what transformation happened to this devotee or this boy. 1 year later, the devotees in Chowpatty, they called him and said, we are going on a Sankirtan on the beach side. Do you want to join us? He said, yeah, wonderful, I'll come. So he went with this party and then he started to play Mridanga and Kartal and he was walking on the beach side. And accidentally, his friend from where he borrowed this book almost 2 years back, right? He came out of the surfing and then he heard the sound of the Hare Krishna, the Kirtan and all these things. And it's just sort of curiosity, he came and he was shocked to see that his friend is walking along with him. Asking, what happened to you? How come you are here? He said, hey, you didn't know that. I just took that book, I transformed my life and I joined them. It's really wonderful. Very tasty prasadam. You can enjoy. You'll be in full of bliss. Why don't you come? Is it? He goes, he takes the book from him and his friend also reads. In a matter of 3 months, he also shaves his head and then joins the party. So this is how you see the beauty of the book distribution Sankirtan changes one's life. And the best part is both these brahmacharis are now in the temple serving, practicing devotion service, and the original book distributor comes to know of this real story 10 years later. And 10 years later, he understood. Then he understood, oh, the book that I distributed 10 years ago has created an impact now. So, just like this, how we started this class today, we said Krishna spoke about Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago, and that's the time bomb he said. So, every time interval, right, when Krishna says, What does he say? Krishna says, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya, right? So the book is the incarnation of Krishna himself. So he incarnates in the form of literature, changes the consciousness of all living entities at every point in time. So this is what we have to understand. So now the question is, do we want to be part of this journey? Do we want to be part of this plan that the Lord is trying to do on this planet so that the devotees can take up this great moment of Krishna consciousness? So that answers our real goal of our life. We should give this literature to everyone as much as possible. If you give this book to someone, he may not read it, no problem. He may keep it in his house. He might die. His son would have come, inherited his father's house. He also will die. But maybe his grandchild may read that book and he'll become a devotee. So, who's going to receive the mercy? When, what is going to happen? None of us know. We do not know what's going to happen. But just take the instruction. How Prabhupada kept telling, I'm just following the instructions of my Guru Maharaj. Just like that, we will all take the instructions of our Guru. Fulfill the desire of Srila Prabhupada. Just go on distributing these books. One day, this will create a great impact. If we have distributed 2.2 million books through this Global Sankirtan team, 2.2 million devotees are sure to happen. But when? We do not know. One devotee, today Guru Maharaj was telling, you make one devotee in one house, enough. One person reading Bhagavad Gita book in one house is enough. Slowly, his brother, his sister, his father, his mother, his uncle, his nephew, everyone will become devotees. And that credit of those 7 people, 10 people being devotees, Krishna adds to your account. That's what Guru Maharaj is like today. So let's all follow such practices and do our best to distribute these books. Yeah, you want to hear more? Are we done? What's the time? 9:40. Okay. So, if you want to hear more, I will read a leaf from Hari Shauri Prabhu. Right? So he's been a very great inspirer. Amount of literature is written, amount of things that he's recorded. I don't think so anyone can do. So, Hari Shauri Prabhu, in his book, he writes what is called as the positive alternative. You know the meaning of alternative? I want to do this, but no, something else I will do because this is better than this. But he uses the word the positive alternative, right? So very powerfully writes, and let's see what happens to this positive alternative. It describes how Srila Prabhupada received so many letters. When he got letters with information about how book distribution is increasing in various country after country, temple after temple, Prabhupada got so much pleasure. Prabhupada felt very happy when he hears this book distribution scores. Prabhupada used to be sometimes ill. And do you know what medicine they used to give to Prabhupada? They'll go tell him in his ears, Prabhupada, this person has sold 200 books. Immediately the illness of Prabhupada will come down. He'll feel, I'm feeling very refreshing now. I'm feeling much better now. So this is the medicine for Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is still living with us. He's living with us in so many ways. His Mahaprasad is in the form of books. By distributing these books, we are distributing his mercy to all the living entities. So we should not stop this mercy of Prabhupada to all living entities. That is the key. So there is so much ignorance in this world now. People are so bewildered. They're becoming more and more bewildered through technology advancement of internet, television, mobile gadgets, and all these things. So for example, today, one can get 500 channels in his house, right? And he can keep on browsing and then engage and waste his time. But the biggest problem is his consciousness is deteriorating badly. So we have to give a positive alternative. Alternative what? No more, televisions, no more such things. Alternative. And he says that alternative is Krishna consciousness. So he wrote this literature in his book, and he called the positive alternative. That's the heading he gave. One devotee heard this positive alternative. This is amazing. You know what he did? He went and he's part of a Sankirtan team. So the Sankirtan team, they have a Sankirtan bus. So generally the bus would have written ISKCON book distribution team, something they would have written on the bus, painted on the bus. So he told this, and immediately two devotees got together. They went to a shop where do this painting and all these things. They parked the bus there. Then they repainted the whole thing and they called the bus as the positive alternative. And they called the solution for positive alternative is the Krishna conscious, distribute books. So like that, this is a leaf from Hari Shauri's book. Yeah. So, so this is a devotee from Baltimore. So this is amazing. So let me read this book for you. This is a story for you. So there is this devotee actually is a mother. This devotee's mother. She is while she is traveling, she comes across a devotee, and then this happened during Prabhupada times. Okay, and then somehow this devotee was able to sell this book out of compassion. She said, "Okay, I'll buy this book." She bought this Bhagavad Gita. No, she buys the Krishna book from this devotee, and then she comes and keeps at home. So many years later, she has a child, and then the child grows up. Now he's 20, 25 years old. Okay, this child, the biggest problem for her son is that because of the environment at college, environment among his friends, he's been nagged, he's been put into difficult situations, so he's very depressed. He says, time and again, I'm getting defeated in my life, mother. I don't know what else to do. Every time I go, I get depressed in my college. I get depressed among my friends. Is this the purpose of life? His life is all about just struggle all the time. So he went and asked her mother. Mother said, I don't know what else to tell you. Maybe you should consult a psychiatrist. He said, no, I don't want to consult a psychiatrist. Who has created me? He says, God has created you. You should ask God. Okay, where can I find God? She gave the Bible to him. Find God here. No, I've read the Bible. I didn't find anything interesting in the Bible. I don't want to read this Bible anymore. So he returned the book back to the mother. So the mother said, okay, I don't know what else to give you. He suddenly stuck her that I have this book which I bought, but I've never used because the topic of the book says, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So she remembers that Supreme Personality of Godhead. She says, okay, let me see if I can give you another book. So she takes that book and gives it to him. Now imagine, this transaction is happening 30 years later to her son, and the devotee impacted the life 30 years before. So this boy opens the book, he reads, he's completely stunned by the pastimes of the Lord. He's so impressed by the pastimes of the Lord. He's just, getting attracted to Krishna. He left the movement and he joined one of the American temples. He left his mother and said, Mother, I have a purpose of my life now. I know what's the purpose of my life. He left his mother and he joined, and he's so happy. And this person, according to the scores, he came first in book distribution in the worldwide level 3 years back, right? So that's the impact that this person got in his life, just because a devotee distributed the book 30 years before, right? So you see, books can stay, not just today. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it can stay in someone's shelf and cause a great impact on others' life. So we should keep this in our mind and do a wonderful book distribution. Today, Guru Maharaj was talking about book distribution using a table, right? So we always think of standing in a traffic signal or try to distribute books, it's okay. But we have a problem. What problem he says is, when we see a person, we become judgmental about that person. Hey, you know what? This person is Sattvic. Oh, this person is a businessman. He is this, he is that. I don't know whether I'll be able to sell the books. I don't know whether I'll be buy the books. So all sorts of judgment we do. And the process of judgment, what we do? We only filter away. If 100 people are there, we filter 95 people and try only those 5 people, right? So he says, this is not a good idea. Everyone deserves this. Because you're a soldier, you should be brave, you should meet people, talk to them, today or tomorrow. The word Hare Krishna in his ears will change his consciousness to buy the book from. So that's an important lesson that we may want to adopt. The second thing is about tables, right? Using tables for book distribution, right? See, tables, what it does is it causes a great attraction because our books are very beautiful. They can be displayed in very attractive forms with posters and all these things. So, if there is a moving crowd, if there are 100 people who are moving, people who have tendency towards spiritual life, tendency towards good consciousness, things like that, they're already attracted towards this counter and they may even come and inquire. That inquiry is good enough for you, right? You've already won the heart of that person. You can give that book to him. So having a table with good display is very important. Actually, this is a very beautiful story. When people come, our books are very attractive because if you open the books, you'll see nice pictures, right? So, for example, there's one picture where someone is sitting like this and saying, okay, easy journey to other planets. So that one yogi is sitting. There is pictures about Maya Devi controlling the living entities. So like this, you see, these pictures are very attractive. Sometimes, there are several people who buy these books for these pictures. Good. Still you won. Still you got your mission accomplished. You should sell your books for these pictures. And I have seen devotees in my earlier days where they buy these books and they cut this picture alone. I have seen devotees who framed this picture and kept in their houses. So you see, every aspect of our books are really wonderful. We should know the strengths of our books. We should know the strengths of our literature. If we don't understand the strengths that we possess, then we become weaker salesmen. We become weaker in approaching success stories with others. So we should first understand strengths of our books, the strengths of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, the strengths of the mercy of the deities. We should use that and we should go distribute the books. In fact, yesterday I was talking with Shankar Prabhu. He shared a wonderful idea where they were distributing books. He said they made a bowl and they made slokas into the bowl and then they put like chits into the bowl. And then they were attracting people to, hey, lucky draw, please take one chit. So people came. Lucky draw means immediately, something I will get. Because people always want to win something, right? So they came, they took one chit out of the box, and then they read one sloka. So first mercy delivered. One sloka they read from the Gita. Then they get attracted. Yeah, you can sell the book. Yeah. I mean, after you told, I was just pondering about this idea. I said, what a wonderful idea it is. And very nice way to sell books with such innovative thoughts. So wherever you go to sell your books, become innovative. Don't do it. Somehow I've been pushed to do it. Don't do with that attitude. Do it full of energy, enthusiasm. Do that love for this thing of Prabhupada, for the pleasure of Prabhupada. So do it that mood. I'm sure you'll all become. We're all very skilled. We are very blessed. So we should take that and then do a great seva in book distribution. And that's my humble prayers to all of you. And by teaching all these things, by preaching all these things, I'm really getting inspired. So I'm automatically thinking what else I should do to make this mission a great success. Okay. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to speak on this subject. And it has been really wonderful to narrate such topics. Okay. Thank you so much. Randraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Book distribution, Sankirtan ki jai. Yes, any questions? I can try to help with little knowledge I have. Any questions? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Guru.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thanks for your wonderful inspiring class. So one question is, today we have alternative of online books also, and we also have physical copies of books. So is it a problem to have online books and where we cannot push the physical books? Will it be a difficult how to? What is your thought? Can you please share?
Okay, so you all heard the question. What Prabhu said. So, Prabhu, when you say difficulty with digital version of a books, or when you say difficulty with paperback or printed books, what is the difficulty you are experiencing, Prabhu? Can we understand that?
If somebody knows there is an online version available, they will try to read through the online version. So they may prefer not to go for a physical book. That will it make an impact in the overall book distribution?
Okay, so here is my take with respect to digital and physical books. Okay, see, physical books they live as it is, almost I would say several years, decades. There's no difficulty. There is no preconditions, right? For example, power, internet is there or not. That there's no precondition. I can always have the book, read them, right? So in online, what happens is when I'm reading this online book, the tendency is like a TV channel, right? If I'm watching one channel, I'll keep on browsing. So I'm reading an online book. I have the tendency to say, hey, what else? Some other book, this book, that book. There is a tendency to get distracted, right? So distraction while reading is not good. So if you look at how, as humans, we memorize things, only when we are fully involved in the subject, picturize the entire subject, the meaning of the subject into our mind and our heart, we'll see there's a transformation that's going to happen. Okay. If it is going to be in a distraction mode, the impact or the benefit of that transformation will be very lower side. Okay. So that I've personally seen. Though I use for Zoom and all, we use this digital, but whenever I want to read at home, I try to read only with a physical paperback. One, I get the feel, and second, paper book in my consciousness is always like I am having mercy of Srila Prabhupada in my hand. So I just want to read that at all times. Second, when I'm reading with the paperback, let's say I'm reading in a train or I'm reading in a common place, people know what I'm reading. In a digital, people don't even know what I'm doing, right? So just by me reading a physical book in a train, for example, I'm sure I'm going to attract 5 other people in the coach, and they may, at least one person may inquire, what is this book, sir? I may sell that book to him. So there's always a great opportunity. Now, by the mercy of the devotees in PBT, we are getting smaller version of the books, thinner versions of the books. So carrying books are not all anymore difficult. And it's easy to do that. So I suggest to do that. And secondly, bookmarks are very easily handled in this book than a digital book. So that is my opinion, Prabhu, but still leave it to individuals. But I would prefer the paperback, which is really mercy of Srila Prabhupada. That's my viewpoint, Prabhu. If anyone would like to add to that point, it will be beneficial. Okay. You really feel that I've carried 10 books and given. If it is 10 digital copies, I have to just one mail over, so I don't get the what is it, transcendental feeling of distributing books, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhu. So actually, now this digital age, which is core among the software engineers, there it may gain some prominence. But a large section of people still paperbacks. Yes, yes. Correct, correct. Yes, yes. Yes, bro. And another bigger problem is if it's digital copy, I would tend to take it inside my bathroom and sit the read there. All sorts of things I will do, funny things I will do. But in book, I will see Krishna in that book. I will handle it with respect and care, which I will not do that with my digital copies. So lots of variegatedness are there. Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
In India, physical copy or even the lamination photos, they don't throw it off. But digital means you can just put it in the recycle.
Well said. Very nice.
So, for that piety, I think we shouldn't throw it off. If we the next generation or somebody will pick up the book.
Yes, yes, yes. And in fact, remember, in one of the past times we discussed, people got attracted to the pictures in the book. They cut that picture and made photo frames, and then they had the book. They had 4 or 5 photo frames in the house, and then they, saw that every day, and then there's a transformation, which may not happen in a digital copy. Yes, yes, Prabhu. Good point. Yes, Prabhu.
The digital copy will not work as time bomb.
Time bomb. Yes. Because once we are out of this world, our laptop and all will get formatted and then story over. So the time bomb aspect, yes, will happen with the physical book. Well said, bro. Excellent point.
If that is the case, then why was Vedanta created?
See, the point is this. We cannot become rigid saying that only physical books, my way or highway. We cannot do that. We have to create alternatives for people. Though the best is this, alternatives must be provided. Okay. So, for example, in a city of 1,000 people, or maybe a lakh of people, there are handicaps also, correct? Who cannot walk, who cannot do this. So for them, you have to give a ramp, you have to give an alternative, things like you cannot say, I don't care whether you have legs or not, you have to walk the staircase and come. That is not the right method to think. So alternatives by all methods must be provided, but as realization keeps on increasing in us, we should propagate these methods. That's the way to do it. So for example, social media is a killer. It kills one's consciousness. Technical. Why? Every second there's a message and distracts you at all points in time. And that too, the tendency is like this. You go to Facebook once, you'll slowly become a member in Instagram, you'll become LinkedIn, Snapchat, Twitter. So your list goes on because your friends are there everywhere. So imagine if you're in so many social media platforms, it's a killer for you. Now, what are we doing? Prabhupada always said, a real devotee means he uses anything and everything in this material world in favor of Krishna consciousness. That's the message. So hence what we do? Okay, Maya is inventing technology like that. We will go the same route. What do? We also go to social media. Instead of giving nonsensical subject matters, we give this transcendental literatures there also. So that's the way we do. So it is not that, social media is crap, we stay away from it. We don't do that. So that's the whole ideology behind it. So conclusion is, all alternatives must be provided at all points in time. For example, literature in Bhagavata is already in Back to God also. So different forms is there. You buy a calendar from our temple, you'll see some slokas printed on the calendar. So that means it is present, but this should be your uncompromised base that you should have. Those are your alternatives. Okay. I hope I was. Thank you so much. Any other questions, thoughts? Okay. So before we end, I want to make one last thing. So I was reading this from Rupa Goswami. So we have this Sada Goswami Ashtakam, right? Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premanjana Preman Gobo Nidhi Dira Dira Jana Priyo Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito. You know what does this first two lines means? It tells one should deeply meditate and chant the holy names of the Lord. I'm just giving a very summary meaning. So, if you're going to be deeply in meditation and thinking about the consciousness of the Lord, then imagine the work that we are doing in Krishna Conscious, distributing books, is exactly what we are doing, what our Sadhu Goswamis told us. So, book distribution gets the highest honor in all aspects of our devotion service. So please give priority and do wonderful book distribution. Let's all get great scores. Every opportunity that we get. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Last,
Yes, Prabhu.
when you do the book distribution, most of the people are worried about making Bhagavad Gita in their home because they eat all nonsense. So their answers is that take this and you eat all nonsense. Then what will happen?
Very simple answer. So I have a body. This body is attacked by diseases. Correct? So what do I need to take? Medicine. So if I say, oh, if I go near the medicine will get polluted and the medicine will get spoiled. If I think like that, will anyone will survive in this world? No. Correct, no? We take the medicine in order to repel the disease in our body, to cleanse our body. Correct? That's the solution. So, Bhagavad Gita, you should use this sloka. Raja Vidya, Raja Gugyam, Pavitram Idam Uttamam, Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmayam, Susukum Kartam Mavyayam. So, this book is Pavitram. What sort of Pavitram it is? It is Pavitram like a lotus feet. You take so much of dirt and put on the lotus flower, nothing will stick onto it. Correct, no? So, this book is like that. Sir, you cannot contaminate this book, but this book will purify you. So, instead of going away from the book, go closer to the book to get purified. So, that's the answer you should give. You should tell them Bhagavad Gita is like a pharmaceutical company which will relieve you of your mental, bodily, all kinds of diseases and make your life perfect. Okay, Prabhuji? Was the answer helpful? Thank you so much. Thanks for all your wonderful support and to patiently hear what I said. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. There was one devotee going book distribution, and this drunkard came, drunkard of copy of Nityam, this is probably Bhagavad Gita. He said, no, I have eaten meat or I was drunk or something. So no problem. He wrapped it in a plastic bag and okay, no problem. You can have it. So our words to probably let us all express our heartfelt gratitude with our chanting Hare Krishna Mantra. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So today's Sunday feast is sponsored by Ravi Loshan and Gaurang Prabhu in the remembrance of Sri N. Prabhupada and Shri Janaki and parents and Shri D.K. Ganapati, his father-in-law, says the first thing devotees to chant for this wonderful souls so that they can spiritually benefit. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. We all know what is Moksha Ekadashi, and we are, as always, we are celebrating that particular event, which is also Gita by we have a Gita home under this area, and schedule will be sent in the WhatsApp group. And as always, we are also going to chant, recite Bhagavad Gita, all chapters and shlokas together. So in the WhatsApp group, there was a message that was sent. So you all please can reach out to me. If you devotees have reached out to me, give the names for which language is preferred. It could be English or Kannada, or any language. Translate. But we have to give the name, the chapter, and whether you're able to recite the shlokas or the translation. So request devotees, and this will be if I give a tentative schedule, the home is in the morning. So recitation would start around somewhere between 9 and 9:30, and we should go until that's mentioned also arranged. So we go until 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock max. So request all devotees to you can I'm there. You can give your names with the track with the request of which chapter and which shloka recitation or translation. Hare Krishna. We will have the answer.
श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई सुदर्शन की श्री लक्ष्मी भगवान की जय, गौरव नेताई की जय, तुलसी महारानी की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। Hare Krishna, we'll just end the session now. Tomorrow we'll just resume our Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya at 8 a.m.
Hare Krishna.